Good morning, children. I think everyone is fine, and we are discussing the first chapter, crop production and management. In this chapter, we have gone through many topics: preparation of soil, then sowing of seeds, selection and sowing of seeds. Then we had discussed manuring, about the manures, fertilizers. Then we discussed irrigation. Then it was the last topic. And in irrigation, there are different methods are practiced by the farmers. Traditional methods of irrigation, traditional methods of irrigation, different methods are used by the farmers in different areas in our country. And modern method of irrigation is there. In this, there are two methods are used, mainly the drip irrigation method and the second one, sprinkler system of irrigation. So all those things we have discussed last class. Today we are going to discuss the next practices done by farmer. So here we are going to discuss on protection of crops, crop protection. How can they protect the crops? So first, the soil was prepared, field was prepared, then so the seeds were selected, seeds were sown, then water, manure was added, then irrigation also done. Next is how can we protect these crops in the field? Okay, let us see. Mainly, we have to protect the crops from two things. First one, the protection from weeds. Then we have to know what are called weeds. What are called weeds? Weeds are the unwanted plants grow in the field along with the main crops. We know after the preparation of soil, we sow the seeds, then the seedlings will be formed. These seedlings grow into small plants, right? Then along with these seedlings or along with these new plants, some other unwanted plants also may grow. Those unwanted plants are called weeds. So these crops are growing along with the weeds. So then these weeds have to be taken away from the field, or these crops must be protected from these weeds or unwanted plants. Okay, so these commonly seen or some common unwanted plants or weeds are like amaranthus. Amaranthus is an example for a weed, or chenopodium. Another one, chenopodium. These two are two examples for weeds. So you should know examples for weeds, amaranthus, then chenopodium. These two are the examples for weeds. So we discussed what are called weeds. Weeds are the unwanted plants growing along with the main crops in the field. Examples for such weeds, unwanted plants, they are amaranthus or chenopodium. Okay. Now we should discuss why should we protect these crops from the weeds? Why should we give that much protection to crops from the weeds? Or how are the problems created by these unwanted plants or weeds? Or how do these weeds cause harm to the crops? Okay, then we will see what are the different points. First one, the first reason means the weeds have to be removed from the field. Why? Because of the following reasons. The first one, they consume a great amount of nutrients that is meant for the crops. We know we add manure, means we add nutrients in the field. But instead of crops, the maximum amount of nutrients will be absorbed by these unwanted plants or weeds. It means that our crops or main crops may not get enough or sufficient nutrients from the soil. Instead, these weeds may absorb all these nutrients from the field. That is one reason. Second thing is that in case of water, in case of sunlight, in case of space, we know when these plants grow or when these weeds grow along with the crops, what may happen? These weeds will grow very fast by absorbing these nutrients from the soil, so that crops will not get enough nutrients. So when these weeds grow, it will cover or it will rush the cover or rush the crops. So what may happen? These crops may not get enough sunlight. The crops may not get enough water. The crops may not get enough space to grow. So that is the first reason we have to remove all the weeds from the field, or we have to protect the crops from the weeds. Okay. Second point, the weeds harbor pests or harmful insects. Means weeds, when weeds are growing along with these crops, these weeds becomes what? The weeds become a place for the pest to live, harbor, giving a space, giving a place for living, so that many pests may come to the field. Then what is the problem with that? If many pests come to this field, they may cause very harmful diseases, and these diseases cause harm to the crops also, main crops also. If a main crop gets disease, then what may happen? It causes the less yield or less quality products. So we have to avoid, or we have to remove all the weeds, so that less number of pests, or we can avoid complete pests from the field, so that the crops are free from diseases. There is no chance of spreading diseases. Okay, so that is the second point. Third one, some weeds produce toxic substances. Some weeds are there, some unwanted plants are there. They may produce some toxic, poisonous substances. Suppose if any other organisms like animals or human beings, if they consume this, then what may happen? It causes death of those animals or human beings. So we have to remove all the weeds from the field to protect animals and human beings also. So these are the main 3 points for what? For removing these weeds from the field. The first one, we have to remove all the weeds from the field, because the weeds may consume maximum amount of nutrients from the field, so that the main crops will not get enough nutrients, enough sunlight, enough water, or enough space. Second one, these weeds becomes a harbor for pests. They may accommodate the pests, and these pests may cause diseases which will be spread very easily to the main crops also. As the result, what may happen? Less yield we may get. Third point, then, these weeds may produce some poisonous substances which may harm animals and human beings. So then we have to remove these weeds from the field, or we have to protect the crops from the weeds. Okay. Now we come to, so we have to remove these old weeds. So removal of weeds, it is known as what? Weeding. W-E-E-D-I-N-G. Weeding. Weeding means it is the process of removing the weeds from the crop field. Removal of weeds. Removal of weeds from the field. It is known as weeding. Now, this weeding can be done by 2 methods. First one is the mechanical method. What is mechanical method? Mechanical method means just manually we pluck these unwanted plants and throwing out of the field. Just plugging or uprooting these unwanted plants growing and uprooting these plants, unwanted plants, and throwing them out. So such a method is known as mechanical. Here we can, we know already I told you that during plowing the field, what may happen, these unwanted plants are uprooted so that we can collect them and remove them from the field. But after cultivation also, cultivation of crops also, what may happen, the growth of weeds takes place. So then plowing is not possible. So then by hand, the farmers can remove all the unwanted plants or weeds from the field. That is mechanical method. Another one, otherwise we can use some tools or machines like harrow or hoe, etc. can be used. By using these tools also we can remove the weeds from the crop field. Then second method is that chemical method. Here we use some chemical substances. We may spray or farmers can spray the chemicals in the field or in the crop field. So here such chemical substances destroy only the weeds. Such chemical substances are called weedicides. 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 They are called weedicides. Weedicides. What are called weedicides? The chemical substances that are used to destroy the weeds in the field. They are called weedicides. Example 2,4-D. 2,4-D means 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. 2,4-D short form. 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is one weedicide. Example for one weedicide which can be used to destroy the weeds that are growing in the field. Okay, and here they may these chemical substances or weedicides, they may kill or they may destroy only the weeds. It will not cause any harm to the main crop. So it is very useful. Next method of removal of weedicide is biological method. The third method. Biological method means here insects or some other organisms are used to destroy the weeds. Some insects are there, some other organisms are there. They may feed on only the weeds. So specifically they can kill or they can eat or they can feed on these weeds. So then those insects will never attack or will never destroy the main crop. Those insects or organisms will destroy only the weeds. So by using such insects, by using such organisms, we can protect the crops from the weeds. Only the weeds are removed or destroyed. Okay. Now the next, these are the three methods we can follow to protect the crops from the weeds. Okay, three methods. First one, mechanical method. Here hand picking method is used or tools are used. Next one, chemical methods. In this chemical methods, some chemical substances are used. They are called weedicides. An example 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. And these weedicides will destroy only the weeds. It will not cause any harm to the main crops. Next one, biological method. In biological method, some insects or some other organisms are used. These organisms will feed on only weeds. It will not cause any harm to the crops. Okay, these are the three methods of protection of crops from the weeds. Next, protection from pests and insects. So these crops must be protected from pests and insects, because these pests and insects, they may attack the main crops by different ways, eating the tender leaves, or they may eat the tender stem, soft parts of crops, plant body, or they may make some bores, holes in the stem. So in this way, they may attract these crop plants. So that we have to protect these crops from the pests and insects. Okay. So pests or insects or rodents. What are called rodents? Rodents means the animals like rats, or the animals like rabbits, or animals like squirrels, etc. are examples for rodents. So such rodents also may harm these crops. So we have to protect the crops from all these organisms like rodents, pests, or from insects. Okay. So these insects like locust or a weevil or a termite, these are some of the examples of pests that harm the crops. So these pests or insects can be controlled by using some chemicals. If we use the chemical substances to kill the pests, those chemical substances are called pesticides. If we use chemical substances to kill insects, then they are called, such chemical substances are called insecticides. If we use some chemical substances to kill rodents like rats, then those organisms can be killed by using these chemical substances, and these chemical substances are called rodenticides. So pesticides can be used to kill pests, insecticides can be used to kill insects, rodenticides can be used to kill rodents. So by using some chemical substances, we can kill such harmful organisms. It can be these insecticides or rodenticides or these pesticides can be sprayed in the field by using sprayers. Suppose in very large area of land means we may use some in large area we can use flying aircrafts. So suppose acres of land is there. So there we can use aircrafts, flying aircrafts. So with the help of such aircrafts we can spray this kind of insecticides or pesticides in the field. So in this way we can control the pests and insects or rodents in the field. Okay. So now, but there are some problems already you know. If we use such chemical substances in the field, what are the problems? Many useful organisms are there in the field. Those organisms also may get affected. They also will be affected because of these chemical substances. And not only that, the soil will be polluted. So pollution of soil, it also another reason. Then some other problems like suppose the plants absorb these pesticides or insecticides. Pesticides or insecticides, they are chemical substances. So they may easily absorb by the plants. So the plants, in plant parts, there will be the presence of what? These chemical substances. So while eating those all chemical substances in less quantity, it may reach there in our body or in animal body. So there will be the distribution of chemical substances from the field to other living organisms through these crop plants. So these are the some of the, and also causes water pollution. During rain, what may happen? The flowing water may take away all these chemical substances to nearby ponds or lakes or rivers. Then what may happen? This river will be polluted, or pond will be polluted, or nearby water resources will be polluted. So then water pollution may take place, and it causes the death of other living organisms or aquatic organisms. Okay, these are some of the problems of using such chemical substances in the field. Now we come to the next point. So preparation of soil is done. Okay, after the selection of seeds, sowing of seeds, then manuring, after irrigation, then protection of crops. All these steps are finished. Now we come to next. Now the plants are growing. Now after few months, it is a time for harvesting. What is harvesting? Harvesting means it is the cutting and gathering of matured plants. We grow the plants. When they get maturity, when they start to produce the yield, then we cut the plants or we gather this yield. Then it is known as harvesting. Okay, that is the process. It is known as harvesting. This harvesting can be done by using machines or by simple tools. Normally the farmers, they may use sickle. Sickle means like knife, you know, that curved one knife will be there. Such curved knife or curved sickle is used. So this sickle or machines are also used in modern agriculture. Machines are also used for harvesting these crops from the field. So after harvesting, what is the next step? Next step is threshing. Threshing. Threshing means, we know, in case of wheat or paddy or the grains, in case of such cereals, when we grow them or after harvesting, these cereal plants are collected, or rice plants are collected, wheat plants are collected. Then what they do after harvesting, they bring to another place. Then they thresh these plants. Threshing means then making them as bundles. By tying with a rope or something, they making them as bundles, and farmers they start to beat them, or how taking them and beating on any hard substance like rocks or something. So what may happen? These grains are get separated from this stem. So in this way threshing is done. Okay, beating these plants after harvesting, after collection of these crops, then these crops are tied as bundles, and this bundle of plants or crops are used, or the farmers, they take and they beat these all plants on what hard substances like rock, so that these grains are get separated from this stem. Then they collect all these grains. So that process is known as what? Threshing. Threshing means just beating these plants on any hard substance, and as the result, these seeds or grains are separated from the main stem. Okay, that is called threshing. A machine also is used. These machines are used for both harvesting and for threshing also. Say a combined machine is used. Such machines are used in modern agriculture, so that the work will be easy. It saves time also. Okay. So after this, the grains are stored. After threshing, the grains are collected. Then we know that there will be lot of unwanted materials. There will be husk. There will be the unwanted light particles will be there in these grains. Then we have to remove all these husk. We have to remove all unwanted parts from these grains. For that, what they use, for normally farmers take this grains. Take these grains in a basket and holding like this. Holding like this, then just they keep them in a slanting position so that what may happen, these grains slowly they fall down. When these grains fall down, as these grains are heavier than the other particles, these heavier grains will fall very close to the farmer, and those light particles will be flew away because of wind. These light particles, dust particles or unwanted particles will be flew away from this grains. So then in this way we can separate the grains from husk and other unwanted particles. This method is known as what? Winnowing. W-I-N-N-O-W-I-N-G. Winnowing is done. Okay. So after winnowing, here also winnowing machine is available. So some farmers they may use the help of this winnowing machine. So it will be easy for them to for winnowing these crops. Okay. So that is about harvesting. Next we come to the next practice. It is storage. Now the grains are collected, harvesting is done, threshing is done, winnowing is done. Next one is all these useful grains must be stored. So next step, storage. The last step, storage. Storage means we have to protect these crops from all the microbes like fungus or bacteria or from humus, or we have to protect them from the rodents, insects or pests. So we have to store them in a proper place. So such things should be done properly. First, after winnowing, these all grains should be kept in the sunlight. Why they are keeping these grains in the sunlight? Suppose if these grains are having moisture or these grains are wet, there is chance for spreading of fungus or spreading of bacteria. So then these grains should be dried very well. For that purpose, farmers keep these grains in the sunlight for drying them. So after many days, they may keep these grains in the sunlight, hot sunlight. After that, after a few days, they collect all of them. Daily they keep in the sunlight, then they collect them. Now they are ready for storage. Now the storage is done. This storage is done by using some bags, gunny bags or silos. Gunny bags means the jute bags are there. Jute bags are used. So in the after drying all of them, we collect or farmers collect them and storing them in gunny bags or in jute bags or in silos. Silos means they are very big and tall cylindrical structures. Silos, very tall, big cylindrical structures. So in this very big cylindrical tall structures, we can or farmers can store the grains. So then they are kept dried and they are free from moisture, they are free from fungus, they are free from all the other unwanted material. So in this way they can store all these grains in this gunny bags in the godown or in silos, in granaries. So like this they can protect these crops from the unwanted living organisms. Okay. So after when it is required, they can take from this godown and they are transported, means these grains or sacks are transported to or are taken to market for selling them. So like this storage is done. Fumigation also done. What is fumigation? Fumigation means just but making them free from insects and bacteria or fungus. It is known as fumigation. So like this they can protect the crops from the unwanted materials. So 7 practices we discussed: preparation of soil, sowing of seeds, then manuring, then we discussed irrigation, then crop protection, how can we protect, then next we discussed harvesting, then last storage. These are the practices followed by the farmers to get good quality yield from crops. Okay, so the remaining 2 more points are there. Those points we will discuss later. Along with these 2 points we will discuss the exercise also. Okay, exercise part also we will discuss, and questions also we will discuss along with the last 2 points. Those 2 points we will discuss in the next class. Okay, based on all the topics that we discussed today, you have to write in your notebook. Don't forget, write them clearly in your notebook and send to me today itself. Okay, so let us see next day with the new topics of this chapter, crop protection and management. Thank you. Have a nice day.